All right, so we are live now. Hello and welcome everyone to the third episode of SEO Surgery in India. I'm Nitin Manchanda, product owner for SEO at Trivago. Well, I love technical SEO, and that's why I'm doing this SEO Surgery for India once again. Well, I got this opportunity to host this episode for you all at Semrush to start with, and we have three SEO experts with us today. I'll introduce them in a while, so wait for a while. But before that, I would like to thank you all for showing such a great response once again and submitting a lot of sites. Unfortunately, we cannot pick all of them. We wish we could pick all of them, or maybe more than three, but we have this constraint to pick three of them so that we can cover a lot of things in this 1 hour and make it a great session for you all. And thank you so much for joining us here now for the real stuff. And now I would like to introduce our guest for the day, Fabrizio, who works at TransferWise, which is my only choice for transferring money from here to India. So he's a great guy. He's heading SEO there. And then we have Vaibhav Kakkar, who is co-founder of RankWatch, a very non-SEO software. And then he's also co-founder for Notify Fox. And then last but not the least, we have Lukasz. So this guy doesn't need an introduction. All of you, I hope, knows this guy. He's a superstar. And if I introduce him here, then I think I would need more than 1 hour. So I would rather leave it to this guy himself so that he can introduce himself in. So yeah, Lukasz, could you please just talk about yourself for a minute?
Hi, it's good to be here. Thank you very much, Nitin. It's always great pleasure and honor to be part of such a great event like this Hangout. Thank you very much for joining us today. I have one website. Today I will be reviewing, and I will try to put a bit of my own methodology that I am using to find some interesting things that will bring the visibility and the organic traffic up. So please stay with us and listen to us, and I hope you will not be disappointed, and I have no doubt that you will find lots of good knowledge today.
Thank you so much for your introduction, Lukasz. Well, guys, he's super excited about this webinar because his wife is from India and he's very much connected to India. And now I would like to request our next guest, who is Vaibhav from India. And Vaibhav, could you please talk about yourself? Vaibhav, you are mute right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this is Vaibhav. I am co-founder of a couple of SaaS products, Notify Fox and RankWatch. RankWatch is a SEO software, and Notify Fox is a browser push notification tool. In my previous life, before this, I used to run a digital marketing agency based out of Manchester, Digital Next, which back in 2013, we sold it to a listed Swedish company. I also run a website called Excel Forum, which is like the biggest Microsoft Excel portal on this planet, which in 2007, long back, I bought it from a guy called Roy Rubin. And he told me, hey, Vaibhav, you know, I'm giving you the site, selling you the site to start an open source e-commerce platform, which we now, everyone knows it as Magento. So, yep, it's like, you know, interesting scenario. So very excited to be here, and let's hope that, you know, people can learn something today from the sites we audit. Thanks, Nitin.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav. I mean, I didn't know this much about you, but yeah, good to hear that. All right. Now, our last but not the least guest, who's originally from Italy, but these days he's in UK working for TransferWise. So I would like to request Fabrizio to introduce.
Hello, hi everyone. This is actually the second time on this SEO surgery, and it's even more exciting to be reviewing non-UK website, just because it's a good opportunity to deep dive into something new. Not always you will end up spending a lot of time in search results other countries. Quickly about me, I lead SEO at TransferWise. We have an in-house team to do SEO, and then I contribute to a lot of other projects when it comes to non-paid marketing. That's about it. So looking forward to start.
All right, thank you so much, Fabrizio. I mean, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourself. I know, I mean, the kind of background you guys have, introducing yourself for in a minute is a bit tough, but I think that's the only key thing for this webinar as well. And so you are auditing a site, and then you're talking about all your findings in like 8 to 10 minutes. It's a tough job. So yeah, this is a good start, I would say. All right, so I think now is the time to start the real stuff for which you all are here watching us live. And yeah, to start with, I would like to again invite Fabrizio to share his findings about the Woo app, which is a dating app like Tinder. So guys, if you haven't heard of this app before, please stop checking it right now, because you can, of course, spend time on it later on. But right now, it's time to hear some really, really interesting insight from Fabrizio, who is an expert with us today, and we'll be talking about this website. So Fabrizio, now it's all yours.
Cool, thank you. Let me share my screen so I can give a bit more of introduction. So it was quite interesting. Like, I spent last night trying to date in India, and this quite a surreal experience from London. And basically a few things about this dating app before we go into detail. So let me just share my screen 1 second. Okay, cool. Woo Dating is a dating app, like pretty much like you would know by using Tinder or any other dating app in the space. They are one of the players in India. They do operate, I'm not 200% sure, but I think they also operate within like US as well, where they acquired another dating company. And like pretty much the experience on the site and their objective is to drive people in app, just because the whole like experience happens within the app. There's no version of the app of the dating site on the web. It's purely Android, iOS, and that's, I guess, the first important bit when it comes to understanding how like SEO is going to play here, because most of the recommendations are probably lean toward like figuring out how to get people on the app, or what are the best traffic sources to get on the app. And another thing that I like to do in general is just to have simply, without having no experience of dating, and particularly in India, through apps, I went through like what are the main competitors and what does the landscape look like, in terms of like getting a good understanding of like who is also there. And the reason why I do it is also to get a sense how these other people, I haven't personally done SEO in the dating industry, how other people like play when it comes to like SEO in this space. We have like app only companies like Tinder, and then I assume that some of them might be on the web as well. But probably the more we go into new companies, the more these are web-based. The other bit that I like to do is just for the like sanity check, and that's why I like whole search indexes like Semrush. For this is just to have a sense of like, are they getting any traffic, and second, like what our competitors are doing. So I picked one of the other website companies that does plays in pretty much in the same space, just to get a sense of like how does it look like from a competitor point of view. And in this case, it's quite tricky because not all of them, pretty much all of them, disregard the more traditional side of SEO, as in like they don't get too much organic traffic. This is mainly brand traffic for people that then go and install the app. But yet it's quite useful to have a sense of like, especially for me being new to the space, have a sense of like what are the players that have keywords and have got topics that match with them, and like just to have a better understanding of like what to do. Their setup currently is pretty simple, and there's not much. There's a blog on subdomain, So they have a blog on WordPress, on subdomain. They have a main page. They have a media page where they repurpose some article from the web and where they have been cited. There is an about page, and then pretty much that's the end of the site. Currently, there's a very tiny FAQ section. I think is all on one URL. And like the other bit that I started to do is to understand, like first of all, starting from brand search and to understand how it looks like. Obviously, I think they have some issues, or at least, for me, first time getting in touch with the app, when it comes to like someone, even like imagine my friend telling me use this dating app. From review on the Play Store, like review were generally quite bad, and then like even like on related searches, so like VooApp reviews, VooApp app, I assume as well. There was some other core content around, this app being legit or this app using bots. And then I installed the app to figure out whether that was true, and the app is fully legit and is totally okay. But obviously they have some bad experiences that, particularly on brand search, they are kind of not giving an amazing sense of like what people could do with the app and how good is it. And the second bit is I look at the site and their audience. So their audience is mainly from India, but they have features within the app that allow people to connect globally, to like start chatting or start connecting with matching with people in USA and so on and so forth. And what I noticed is that the website is pretty much just in English, and pretty much like there is no any sort of geo-targeting. There's no no folder structure. They don't have separate domains. They pretty much have just one English site. And then regarding India in particular, this was something that I read somewhere around like user in India, like no matter having something like 400 million internet population, only 20% is fully fluent in English. And I assume that if they really want to penetrate this market, they could start offering the website in different languages, just taking into account that people are not that comfortable with English. So like that's one main thing that I noticed. And if we compare this to other dating app, I looked at Tinder, for instance. They got more languages that they offer. They don't really have a proper folder structure with languages and so on and so forth. It's pretty much one app, one page type of app, but that's something that I would totally recommend them. And my point here is, so definitely when it comes to this type of business, there's the whole subject of getting user through the App Store. So anything related to getting more visibility in the App Store. I'm personally not a huge fan of the whole ASO thing, in a way that obviously reviews are down to having a good product, installs are down to having a good product, and I find very little, even us as a company, we get features in Play Store and Apple Store, so on and so forth, but like from my point of view, the whole subject there is just to build a great product on top of the other stuff that you could do on this front. So my take on this is they need to continue to work, I guess, on building a product, but when it comes to I would focus more on building a website on the web as well as a source of traffic. And as we can see from Semrush, pretty much they don't get any traffic to this website. When we look also at the blog, so they have a blog on subdomain, even that one is pretty dead, versus their competitor, for instance, when we go down to particular keyword, they start going on like some long tail content, things to do when they things guys do when they like girls, and like so they try to cover this dating content, but also they cover city specific. It's probably city specific queries, so dating in plus city, and this is all type of content, or like best dating app in city. This is all type of content that can be produced quite easily. And the point here is at this point in time, they basically have one-page application with pretty much that blog, I would say. And my recommendation would be to start creating landing pages by city, by type of user demographics, so on and so forth, because there is actual volume that they could go after, as we can see from here. There are like not massive, but on some of these keyword like first, some of these are around like dating, not necessarily dating apps, but like there's some other stuff that, and even themselves with their own website, when we go to the organic search piece here, they do somehow cover some of the keywords that they could be ranking for, but obviously not always that well in terms of like dating apps in India. So they are in position 21. So like there's probably a chance to build better landing pages versus like having these two pretty much rank against their own page. And then what I did, conscious of time, I had a quick crawl with Screaming Frog. What I found out is that most of the site and part of the WordPress is still hosted under an old domain. So like the images, for instance, are still sitting under a blog getVoo app. So I assume this was the old domain. Even when you go on this actual site, you can find out that part of the website is still, maybe I don't have the actual link here, but part of the links on the website, as you can see, they're still pointing to getVoo and then they are redirecting through a 301 to .com. So that the entire site, part of the structure going through a 301. And then on top of it, there's a bunch of little or not little other technical things, like there's no HTTPS, so on and so forth. But to be honest, like I don't think at this point, so right now they're starting with pretty much with a fresh site from a traditional search point of view. I'm going to spend a crazy amount of time and also I assume that like from their point of view could be quite a bit of an investment to like dedicate resources to fixing some of this technical stuff versus they should just create landing pages, they should just create content that ranks, because that's what they're currently missing. And then like also evaluate from like a business point of view whether it's a good idea to actually invest in this channel, to which degree. I totally think they should be they could be creating more effective content, but at the same time it could well be, they need to understand probably their metrics is around new users that like come on the app, or number of matches on the app, like Twitter, like Tinder has got, but like in this case understand whether creating content is sustainable in terms of like acquiring this type of user, because the whole experience is going to lean towards pushing people to install the app. So that is their conversion, and that is the only goal. And then once they install the app, pretty much it's just down to retention. Is this a good app and a good product? And I'll leave it to them, because this bit I'm not a user, unfortunately, of this app, and it's difficult for me to assess. So how many minutes have I got left? Just a couple, I assume, right? Yeah. Have I still got a couple of minutes left? Nothing.
I think you're done with your time.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Talk about something. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just to recap, I would just suggest them to use all the competitive insights that they could get by using a tool in terms of like what buckets of keyword other people are using, and then start structuring their architecture and building pages, because like that's the bit that without they will go not too far in terms of like getting more traffic from organic search. And when they can't use other websites, because there are plenty of other websites that already rank for best app and so on and so forth, it could be a mix between of a link building and using the authority of these sites to actually get that demand.
All right. Thank you so much, Fabrizio. I mean, you spoke about a lot of things in these 10 minutes, and you have definitely given them an SEO agenda for like 6 months or so. And yeah, that you also mentioned about the point that you are not a user of this app, but I would recommend you to go for it. You should definitely give it a shot.
I tried.
I'm sorry, yeah, you're saying something?
Oh, nothing. I tried it in UK, but unfortunately there are not many users yet.
All right. So probably they can think of expansion of their branding somehow so that it works well in UK as well.
Yeah, but definitely the USA thing is real in terms of like this is why I assume they bought this other company in terms of like having presence in both countries, because people travel and people similar to how you can unlock the feature to date someone in another country. That means you can also do SEO in that country, not just target one geo.
Yeah. All right. Cool. But yeah, I can't think about using it anymore because I'm a married man. My wife will kill me otherwise. All right. So moving ahead, now I would like to request Lukasz to share about his findings on this website. So probably some points that Fabrizio couldn't cover because of time. So now it's Lukasz' turn.
Okay. So, just I was listening to Fabrizio and I was listening to you, Nitin. I'm also a married man, so don't expect me to test the application. But I have a couple of things because I couldn't agree more with Fabrizio. And aside, if I can add some things, then this is like a kind of mix between ASO itself, so making this apps ranking in App Store, and the website, which is kind of like a net for catching potential customers. What I can see, the website as it is pretty, except for the blog, is pretty content thin. I personally like when everything sits under the same domain, so I would definitely try to move blog dot into /blog, because blog dot may suggest that this is a separate website kind of, and lots of websites which allowed customers to create accounts were often using this method, creating a subdomain. Back in the day, there was InfoBarrel, the article kind of a directory, which was always, every user was creating account, had a separate subdomain. So again, like, I know that some SEOs will say like it doesn't matter. For me, it kind of makes sense if everything is under the same domain. So maybe migration from blog dot into /blog would be a good thing. Another suggestion would be that obviously we're talking about blog. Blogs are great, but they are not my favorite type of content to rank. My favorite type of content to rank is an evergreen landing page without a date, without an author, more or less like a kind of a guide. So blog generally have always a date and always the author, and very often is right for now, maybe next year, but then may some very often some messages may be a bit outdated and so on and so on. Now, writing content which will be a guide, which will be evergreen guide, which will be always trying to sound correct no matter what point of time we are, that, is a way to aggregate links and start ranking higher. And finally, you, Fabrizio, was showing a Semrush, one of the best tools right now on the market, and there is this section with the competitors, which I religiously using to find topics and keywords from guys who are already ranking. So how can we, first of all, be better than them, and what makes them ranking that high, and why they are above us? So I think that would be my advices. Whatever you, Fabrizio, said, I can just echo, plus whatever I said. I think, again, the resources would need to be considered. Depends how many people is working there in-house, how many people is freelancing, because obviously that should be also taken into consideration. But this couple of things I mentioned would be potentially very beneficial.
Thank you so much for that, Lukasz. Now I would like to request Vaibhav for sharing his findings that probably Lukasz and Fabrizio can cover in their time. So yeah, Vaibhav, your turn
Sure.
now.
So, talking about content, Lukasz, I would agree, like, a good form of content can be nice landing pages. But I think what really can work for these people is a user-generated content forum where, a lot of people are talking amongst themselves, creating evergreen content. That is something I am quite sure that can get them a lot of traffic, because otherwise they'll have to create, trying to compete with the biggies out there. They'll have to create like a lot of content. Maybe they should let their users or just normal people out there do it for them. Again, after they have the content, there are some technical issues on the site, which mostly have been talked about. One thing which I just noticed was the robots.txt, the format of disallow is wrong. Ideally, it should just be /js and /css, and these folders are getting indexed. Again, it only matters after, all these technical issues would only matter after we have some traffic coming in. But still, also the speed is quite bad as per Google page speed tool. Another thing which I did notice, all the content on the blog, again, I'm a big fan of like a folder versus a subdomain, unless the subdomains are very different in niche. And here, all these stories, some of them really do not have any keywords. So even if they do produce content, they should perhaps do some keyword research and try and make the content slightly more keyword oriented. The titles, if you see here, are also not too good. Like this one has a title, Woo app now available Delhi, Mumbai. So they can perhaps work on the titles. And I also saw that they have like index.html and the main site, both of them are opening. So it's a classic canonical case, which again should be taken care of. Yep, that's, I think, pretty much it. Everything else has mostly been covered.
Well, thank you so much, Vaibhav. I think we took a lot of time talking about this website because it was one of the most interesting ones, of course, for the obvious reasons, right? All right. Now, without wasting any time here, because our visitors are looking for more insights from you guys, and we have 2 more websites to cover, and we have approximately 32 minutes left in this webinar. So I'll quickly move to Lukasz, who will be talking about printshop.co.in, which makes office printing super easy and hassle-free. So now, Lukasz, it's all yours.
Thank you very much. I just to make sure I'm on time, I'm just calculating. I have 8 minutes. So, when you sent me this address, I just decided to go a bit and through a couple of things, and I prepared a couple of slides. So I will try to share right now with users. So I hope you can see this. Can you confirm? I hope everyone see this.
Yeah, we can see it.
So obviously, printstock.co.in, it's a kind of Vista print competitor on the Indian market, or like Moo. So lots of visiting business cards and all the stationery products you can order there. So where I started pretty much was a deep crawl, which is a crawler that can crawl your website. It's a cloud-based software, and I just crawled it, and then it really hits me that according to deep crawl, the primary page, which I'm always looking at, you can see them. I will be like, now I will choose the pen, which is let's say black. Oh no, I cannot. So it's you cannot see this, but you need to trust me. The primary page is 40, and I was like, come on, there is 1,400 pages already indexed, so something is basically wrong. That deep crawl is saying 40, and Google is indexing so many. So I really trust deep crawl, so I went deeper, and I saw this. The thin content page that are pretty much indexable. So that's our kind of a designs you can go through, and if you go deeper, and you will do the site, and so you can see that there is lots of this kind of product design, customized basic PHP with some parameters already indexed, and so on and so on and so on. Mainly because there is lots of question marks after this .php, and these query strings are indexed, and they cause potential problems. So once again, these pages should not be indexed. These pages should be no follow, and or at least there should be canonicalization done, because when I went to the source code, and also localization wasn't done there. So either no index, no follow canonical tag. Another thing is that obviously, because I performed this crawl, there was lots of other things that the deep crawl been able to catch, like duplicated pages, duplicated page sets, pages without canonical tag, which I said, duplicated titles, and so on and so on. These things should be fixed as soon as possible. Some people still are thinking that this is just a flukes, not important. I am trying always to make sure that my websites are optimized, almost perfect. Whatever I can, I'm trying to optimize, just to make sure that there is as minimum problems and issues. Sometimes it's impossible to fix some issues, but obviously that's our special cases. And then obviously I went to Semrush, and I performed another crawl, and Semrush reported 4,040 pages. You may be surprised why there is this such a difference between deep crawl and Semrush. Obviously both tools are using different methodology, but both tools are just giving a strong signal that there is potentially something basically wrong, that so many pages been indexed, or there's so many pages been crawled. So again, I made a dive, a deeper dive into what Semrush was saying. And again, there was lots of redirection chains. There was lots of duplicated tag issues because of duplicated content, obviously. There was 221,000 links on HTTPS leading to HTTP. It's called a mixed content. Normally WordPress, for example, can fix this very quick, but Print Shop Co. is not using WordPress at the moment. So that potentially looks like a crazy number, but that probably are a couple of links which are sitting somewhere on the footer or somewhere on the header and always linking to HTTP. However, they should link to HTTPS version of the website. So then obviously I done something which I really wanted to share right now, and I hope this is this kind of creme de la creme of my presentation. So I went into mine competitors, and I found flex sprint, overnight sprints, and so on and so on. I choose two of them, and I was like, okay, what these guys can tell us to be stronger, what these guys, flex sprint and overnight sprints, can help us with. And I went obviously to the part which is gap, keyword gap analysis, or domain versus domain, and I said, show me only this keywords where overnight prints and flex print ranks between position 1 and 21 and 20, so first 2 pages less than 21, and print shop doesn't. And I had plenty of keywords. I choose design business card as the main seed keyword, and then I went to SEO keyword magic tool and I added this keyword and wanted to understand what other keywords related to design business card can I find there. And I choose intentionally country as India, because obviously this is a website operating in Indian market, and take a look how many keywords I found. Plenty of that contain the seed keyword business card design. And what I done next, it is I just created a project, and I added the first 10 keywords into keyword tracker just to avoid cannibalization. And as you can see, 5 of the keywords I choose related to business card design already ranking, and print shop is ranking quite well. At least I would say this is a good starting point. So I would generally check what URLs these keywords are triggering and start on-page optimization. Very simple one, you know, title tag, expanding content, adding some relevant pictures with relevant old images, old tags. A couple of these things we always doing H1, H2 tags, modification, and keyword 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's our keywords that were not ranking, and probably we should consider to either add this keyword into existing content or creating a new content. And I think this is it. What I prepared for today. It's already, guys, it's already 7 minutes 57 seconds. So I am very, very kind of proud of myself that I've been able to match the time.
Thank you so much, Lukasz, for such an awesome time management.
If you can just add me one thing, because I think that will straight to, I just need to show you this really. I will just go to my screen share, and I will show you this. I just need to do this bigger. Okay, I'm sharing. That's the last thing, because it's also interesting. Some people are still doing this. Take a look here. This is the robots, and you can see this. And we don't like this directive, because this directive doesn't exist. There is no such thing like allow. There is only this allow. And because before there was a statement about robots, then I just wanted to cover about this as well. And that's it. Oh, once again. So yeah. So that doesn't make any sense. There is only disallow.
All right. Thank you so much, Lukasz, once again for sharing so many things. I mean, you have probably touched almost every aspect of SEO while talking about this website. And I mean, yeah, I think recently, I mean, I was also auditing a few sites, e-commerce sites in India, and I've seen this pattern almost there in, for all the websites, that because of parameters, there are a lot of duplicate content, a lot of duplicate meta tags and stuff like that. So that's a very, very core thing that most of us are missing. So I would highly recommend everyone to check Lukasz this talk once again and think about that. I mean, make sure you have you don't have duplication of content on your website. That's a key thing. All right, so now I would like to request Vaibhav to talk about some of his points that he saw on this website, which Lukasz couldn't cover because of time, and he thinks these are really important things. So yeah, Vaibhav.
Although Lukasz, he did a great job. Like, I don't think there's much left, to be honest, to be covered. But yeah, just a couple of points which I would cover here is, first of all, the site has some pages like the login page, the forgot password page. All these pages are getting indexed. Small thing, but still they should perhaps take care of this. I'll quickly share my screen. Then what I see here is they have some of the URLs, like this is one of the indexed URLs I picked up from the site, and this is another indexed URL. So these are almost duplicate URLs, plus they have the temp ID. So maybe they should exclude this temp ID from the indexed URLs in their Google Webmaster Tools. And one last thing, this is a usability aspect. Like when I am calculating the price of certain things, the price does not this one, this was it was some other product, it was perhaps Lanyards, where the price was not changing for most of the things I was selecting, but the calculator was a big long calculator, so they can take care of that. The titles are quite long, so Google will cut them short, so the amount of priority the first part of the title will be more. So maybe they should look into that as well. Yep, that's pretty much it from my side.
Well, thank you so much, Vaibhav. So now, without wasting any time, I would like to move to the next website, and which is quadrapay.com. And Vaibhav will be talking about that. QuadraPay is basically a very simple and affordable payment solution. So yeah, Vaibhav, it's all yours now.
Right. So the website looks like a decent website in the first look, but as I started going deeper, now there's a contact form here, which is fine. But if I go back on the site, this button is not working. I scroll down, apply now, not working. Okay, actually this second apply now gets me to the home page again. No links on these things, which is okay, maybe just normal headings, but what was even these links are not working, the contact us, and this is the home page. Looks like they had a redesign of the website, and they forgot to do user testing. Now if I go to any of the internal pages, I get a 404 on the contact us form, which is quite strange. If I click on contact us again, it's a 404. So they definitely need to look at basic things on their website. This form, if you see, is quite a big form. I don't think anyone will take time to fill up this form. If you look at the title here at the top, actually, the language is broken. A lot of things are repeated. They definitely should try and get proper language in the title. Plus, there's no need to repeat keywords. Google is very smart, especially after RankBrain, to take care of such like small things like different keywords with slight difference. Google will definitely take care of that. In robots.txt, like Lukasz said, they have disallow and allow. No real need for disallow. But at the same time, I also saw that they have a lot of pages which are like tag pages, category pages, which are getting indexed. Now, here in the robots.txt, they should just disallow all those pages, the author page, the tag page. What is happening is all these pages are creating, either they're creating duplicate content or they're creating a lot of low quality content. If I look at the XML sitemap, the main XML sitemap page is fine, but inside it's all empty. If I scroll down here, it says merchant account blog, but I only see a few posts. I cannot really find the blog the main blog URL. And if I look at the content here, most of the content is like not really attractive content. Perhaps they should look at the user persona of their users, figure out who are the people who will buy their services, and write content which is, suitable for their users. On the right hand side, if you see here, all these 3 links, they go to the same page, which is the home page, which is not good user experience either. Then if I look at the speed of the site, again, it's quite bad, both on mobile and desktop. And even, the first byte speed is 1.6 seconds, which should be under half a second. Then if I go to some of the pages on the website, so for example, I hardly see any content on the industries page, on the services page, which is definitely not a good thing. Another small thing, this is an issue with a lot of websites, like, a lot of websites, what they do is the first link, which is the home page, they link it with home. Now that's technically what Google would feel. Now I'm sure, Google is smart to take care of this, but it'll be better that if you don't link this with the keyword home, maybe use one of your main keywords here, or just remove this unless you are a housing website, because this is the first link on your page and it links to your home page with the keyword home. That's not a good signal. Okay, now some of the titles are also slightly long, but then I started looking at, I thought, let me even check the link profile of the website. And when I checked some of the links of the website, I found, so this website basically here is sending 15 links to the site. Now I thought, let me perhaps go to the site and see what kind of site it is. And it's a very thin quality forum. And when I dug a little deeper, this guy here looks like, it's an SEO company which they're using to build links. And this guy is, using this forum to just ask questions like, can you please tell me more about what their client does? And in the answer, someone else is answering with URLs. Definitely not a good way of building links. And most of the links are very low quality links. So that's something they should definitely take care of. Some more things, the images are being scaled, like for example, this logo, they're using HTML to scale it down, and the actual size of the logo is this. So, they're loading a lot of extra content on the page, which they should not. The site also has inline CSS, which should perhaps be converted to external CSS. And also one interesting thing I noticed was, I was checking their rankings, and I saw that they have, on these keywords which they're targeting, or they should be targeting, there are a lot of videos which are ranking. So I thought maybe, they should do some video SEO. So I went to their YouTube page. Now they are, creating some videos, but again, the quality of videos here is very, very thin. Like, these are just content video, like videos wherein they're just putting content without much interaction. So even if, worst case, first of all, it'll be very difficult for these videos to rank, because one of the most important factors in Google's algorithm for YouTube rankings is that your video should have good engagement. That is, people should watch your video to the end, and views. There's a very low chance that people will watch a video like this till the end. And even if they do rank by mistake, if no one else has made a video, sometimes it happens, Google might still rank, then still they'll not get any conversions from these kind of videos. So I definitely think they should work harder on these videos. One last thing, funnels, they have, like, they should create some kind of lead magnets to generate leads, some kind of, so I suppose tech support startups will be their clients, and they have a lot of different niches where the clients can come from. So they should give away free ebooks. They should give away things which, at least if someone is on the site, they should try and collect leads of those people by having a lead magnet and then a complete funnel. So yep, that's, I think, pretty much it from my for the site.
Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for sharing so many insights once again. And yeah, I mean, the point you mentioned about their backlinking, the traditional approach they're still following for getting backlinks, I think that's really bad. I would definitely agree with you on that. I mean, I think those practices are not adding any positive value for SEOs anymore, but they are actually kind of alarming situation when they have these kind of links, and they Google can even kick them out of the SERP altogether.
Nitin, one thing I would like to add here, with the latest Penguin, there is less need for them to perhaps go and disavow these links, because Google now is smart enough to figure out what are the low quality links, just to avoid people from doing negative SEO. But what they need to really do at this point is, I think, build much better links, create good content, and perhaps do some outreach to some nice blogs where they can put content. But what I've practically noticed is that there's very little need to disavow links these days. So
yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for adding that. All right, so now I would like to request Fabrizio to comment about this website, so his thoughts probably, which Vaibhav couldn't pick because of time constraint. So now, Fabrizio, it's all yours.
Yeah. So yeah, I had a quick look at the site, and to be honest, when you check, I agree on the point of links in a way that I think they still have a little bit way to go on the content front before most of the content is probably not there. They are, if you let me share the screen back again. They're actually ranking for stuff, like they're ranking for payment gateway, they're ranking for international payment gateway, and some other, like offshore payment. One of these was one of the other keywords, like offshore merchant accounts. So I don't think that is necessarily but what I'm saying is that the content of these pages, if you then use Semrush, the feature on a page level, and you go and you check this particular page, they do rank for some of these. There's relatively volume, probably this being a B2B, I wouldn't expect like massive volumes, and this can be good customer because they might have good lifetime value. And but the point is that if we go to the content of that page, or we go to like product pages, the content is pretty poor in a way. First of all, it doesn't look like it's a product page, so they're using WordPress with like some folder structure. For some of these they're using the blog, and then they have all the category that that we mentioned before. But the other bit is that when we go to services, and I think is industries as well, they using, so they have service, and then they have industry that they serve, but the whole architecture and the whole content of the page is not. So they're probably trying to rank for merchant account for adult website in this case, but the content here is probably not that amazing to rank for that. And this doesn't look like too much like a landing page to me. It looks like more in a blog post turned into a landing page. And so like my main suggestion would be isolate, and for some of these they're ranking already, as you can see, but just not that well. Isolate the like transactional keywords and build proper landing pages for that, which also I assume they're gonna have better conversion rate, which at this point in time I'm not sure it's amazing. And the second bit is like, I agree on, there could be more stuff going on the long tail, and that's where they could, like, one thing that we, many people in B2B do, they can rely on customer support to figure out what are the main issues that like their target audience is facing, and they could rely on them to collect them and write better content, because they do have a blog. What is on the blog, I believe, but even there's not. Oh wow. No, it's probably the wrong address, but even there's not a greater degree and like of content, and like even when they have to describe subjects like payment getaway with high risk, or like how to evaluate the tech support of a payment getaway, so on and so forth. That's why they could just go a little bit more long tail with using customer support to figure out what are the things to write, versus right now it doesn't feel like that there's too much and that good content. None of the content that they have is actually ranking, and I don't think it's necessarily due to links. It's more of the site structure and so on and so forth.
All right, thank you so much, Fabrizio. So now, before moving to our final round of this webinar, I would like to ask you guys a question, which is asked by Surya Duduku. He's asking if silo structure is important and needed to improve your rankings. So yeah, Vaibhav, could you please answer this question for Surya?
Sure, Nitin. So, so a few months back, I was having this conversation with Bruce Clay about silos, and I personally think silos are very important. If siloing is done properly, they can really improve the rankings of your website. That said, it is important to make sure that it is done in a proper manner. Like, so for example, in e-commerce sites, we see a lot of times that they have hundreds of links on every page. It's important to have the proper tree kind of structure where you have each category, and each category would have the right subcategories, and those subcategories link to maybe only those categories. So what it does is the link juice flows much better overall throughout the site. Again, if someone wants to read more about silos, I think Bruce also has a very nice article on his website, which I think is bruceclay.com. Just search on Google. I think you should find it. Yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing all these insights on these 3 websites and giving them a nice agenda for next six months at least. I'm not sure. It depends on their capability and bandwidth. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. Now moving to the final stage, where I'll be asking each one of our experts about their key takeaways from the day. And so they can talk about their key takeaways, and they can also talk about their preferred communication channel, where our visitors can catch them, can ask them questions, can bug them, or can be in touch in general. So yeah, I will start with Fabrizio. So Fabrizio, if you could share your key takeaway and preferred communication channel.
Yeah, I guess the key takeaway from today was we went into site which had technical issues, yes, but at the same time, particularly for the first one and the last one, from my point of view, was more around like the way this site were planning, like how to tackle search demand and search intent of their user with their site, how they were structuring that to do so, and like what content they should have had to address all that more than like before thinking about more complex technical stuff. Versus the second one probably was more around and referring to the silo a bit. Like there could be some technical improvements, especially when you ending in a large e-commerce. Like they were linking to basically every product from the homepage, and it is a matter of testing, you know, and taking a fight between what is user experience and what is best for SEO. So these were my main learning. And to get in touch with me, you can do it through Twitter mostly. My handle is a bit difficult. It's PECHNET. But otherwise, search my name. You should probably find me, and then you can ask me stuff. I usually answer quite promptly.
Cool. Thank you so much, Fabrizio.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So moving to the next guy, Vaibhav Kakkar. So Vaibhav, could you please talk about your key takeaway and your preferred communication channel?
Sure. So I really feel people, you know, a lot of sites I see, they miss focusing on the user experience, which again, you know, at the end of the day, plays the most important role. Google is focusing a lot on user experience by AMP and a lot of other things. So I think people should focus a lot more on user experience. That's my one main key takeaway, I would say. And my preferred means of communication is again Twitter, and my Twitter handler is @rankwatch. So feel free to get in touch with me.
All right, thank you so much, Vaibhav. And now, last but not the least, the Lukasz. So Lukasz, could you please talk about your key takeaway and your preferred communication channel?
Thank you very much. So I would have three. The first one, avoid duplicate content, implementing the right canonical tags or no index, no follow tags. The second one, always perform keyword gap analysis. Right now, it's easy because Semrush has this as a new functionality. And the third one, perform and execute SEO on-page audit. It's a very, very important. Now, if you would like to catch with me, the best way is LinkedIn, I think, and I won't be giving you any difficult URLs except of one, which I am very proud of, and it's SEO.London. If you open SEO.London, there is my LinkedIn, there is my Twitter, there is also a link to my website. So, you know, and I will be very happy if any of you can share with me what would be the good idea to launch on SEO.London, as this is the new acquisition I just done a couple of weeks ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lukasz, for sharing that fancy URL. All right. And once again, thank you so much for everyone who spoke about the websites and made it a super nice episode for all the visitors. Thank you so much once again. And thank you so much all our visitors for joining us and asking such nice questions, though we couldn't answer all those questions. And so you can now, you know, our preferred communication channel, so you can catch us, ask your questions, and yeah, we'll be more than happy to answer your questions, guys. So thank you so much once again. Namaste, India.